Smooth 98.1, love music, love life. You're most welcome to today's edition of Business Express 981. My name is Mairo-Ese, and this morning we're with Rotus. Morning, Rotus. How are you today?
Thank you, Ayo. Good morning to you. Good morning to all our listeners from all around the country, all around the world. Good to be on another Monday.
Excellent. Great to have you on the show. For those who are listening to us, you can send us your WhatsApp message. WhatsApp number is 0809 444 0981. If you have questions, comments, or responses to the discussion we'll be having this morning. And then if you're watching us, you can go onto YouTube live. We're live streaming on youtube.com/smooth981 FM Lagos. Today we'll be looking at a number of stories, time permitting. You can also use the YouTube platform to send in your message if you want to. The live chat option is enabled. Rotus, we're talking about, main headline for today is what the former governor of the CBN and former emir of Kano, Sanusi, said. We see him saying that all Nigeria's economic gains wiped out in 5 years. What do you make of this, true or false? But before then, tell us what he said.
Yeah, so he was speaking at a forum organized by, I believe it was Harvard, a Harvard forum, a virtual forum that he was speaking at. And he was talking about how basically all the economic gains that we've made have been filtered in the last 5 years. So to quote him directly, he said, if we take Nigeria's GDP per capita, and we have a chart, I don't know if you can put up before our YouTube viewers. You say if you take Nigeria's GDP per capita on a PPP basis, that's purchasing power parity basis. In 1980, it was $2,180, and by 2014, it was $3,099, which increased by 50%. Between 2014 and 2019, it fell to 2,229. At this rate, by this year or next year, Nigeria's GDP per capita will be back to where it was in 1980. So he was off by a year, but his figures are correct. So for those who are, this is data from the World Bank, and he clearly pulled this data from the World Bank. So 1980, that's what he was referring to, but he said 1980, but still, 1981, you can see GDP, and that's basically you're taking the GDP and measuring economic wealth per person, right, in purchasing power. So you can see that in 1981, it was $2,180 per person. 2014, $3,098 per person. 2015, it dropped. Now, so 2015 is where you start, where the administration came into office. 2015, $2,687 per person. It then fell to 2,176 in 2016. It fell again in 2017, climbed a little bit in 2018 to 2,027. 2019 climbed to $2,229 per person. And now here we are in 2009 or 2020, where it is at $2,097. So it's under where it was in 1981, 40 years ago, at $2,180 per person. So, he's essentially, now this is the thing, to be fair to the administration, they've been unlucky. They've been really unlucky. Yeah. At 2016, where it dropped to 2,176, oil prices fell in the latter half of 2015, and then you had a recession. And of course, COVID happened 2020, you had another recession. I mean, if you go back to, I think 1983, Buhari, each administration that Buhari has been in charge, from military back in 83 to his two terms as a Democratic president, he's been hit with recessions each time. So he's been incredibly unlucky.
Would you put it down to luck, or is there an element of administration or poor administration in the three cases?
Yeah, so how he reacts to bad luck also determines how things move forward. Sanusi also talked about the subsidy, which he said even if we had made a move in 2015, we'd be better off than where we are now, because it's eating up so much of our revenues. And the president, unfortunately, hasn't He hasn't shifted on the subsidy. I mean, we haven't heard anything new from the deliberations with Labour. So there are moves that have been made to mitigate things, but so far we haven't really seen anything, right? Borrowing is still happening at a high rate. You've got, an election in 17 months from now. By next year, I don't know if you will see any economic reforms, from. So that's, the chart speaks for itself. The fact that the average Nigerian today in 2021 is worse off than Nigeria was 40 years ago is a tough pill to swallow. And you wonder how things can move forward from this point and what will need to be done. That's the issue. That's the big issue. He said a lot more. Said a whole lot more about.
He said something about pilgrimage. Also,
so he said foreign exchange should not be spent on pilgrimage. Said Nigerians shouldn't be using religion to measure things. That they should just look at the leaders of the economy and ask them what has improved and have they done it. I mean, he talked about a whole lot of stuff, but that's he's also, I think he just turned 60 as well. He also went to go speak to another forum. In fact, he said that as he turned 60, he's not happy because 60 years ago when he was born, the United States economic advisors were saying that Nigeria was a better investment prospect than Japan. And he now says 60 years later, where is Japan? Where is Nigeria? Japan is hosting Buhari went to Japan. That's where Nana Akufo-Addo, president of Ghana, signed vehicle assembly deals with Toyota or Hyundai or so on. Japan is now large enough to where it can host African leaders. It's the third largest economy in the world. So that's where Japan is compared to where Nigeria is.
Yeah. All right, let's have, okay, so someone's asking questions aside from what we're talking about before the end of the show, I'll ask. But in response to our current conversation, Gwenga Komi says, Sanusi always comes the bombshell. I doubt if the economic managers of today will agree with him. Is it that Buhari is unlucky or his economic policies are the cause of the economic misfortunes of the country? Ibrahim is also asking, unlucky, does lightning strike the same spot twice? And then Prince says, what is the population in 1980 and 2021? For me, if we don't do something about the population rate, we will never move forward.
Strong points. Strong points.
And then so to the question that Kevwe is asking, says, how can I buy US stocks and which is the best app to use for investing?
Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of stocks. I replied the last person. I guess you can do Instagram or Twitter, and I'll give you a whole bunch of options. You've got options in order to purchase those. The other news to touch on, there was a viral video on Friday or Saturday. An entrepreneur in Abuja says that the Abuja Municipal Area Council, the AMAC, was taxing her 50,000 naira to use her generator. And apparently it's the law. Although the issue is just how it is implemented or enforced. So she was, essentially, I think it's part of their environmental department. Yes, there's the environmental department that the AMAC has, saying that based on emissions from generators and so on, that there's a fee that businesses have to pay. So for her, it was 50,000 naira. But I mean, there's obvious issues with that. With that. Yeah. But again, backed by the Constitution, it's there. They put everything in a center and notice, a demand notice, punishable by, I think, imprisonment or other fines and so on and so forth. But they never seem to go after larger companies. The AMAC seems to just target smaller businesses because, how much of a generator power do you think is used to power a bank's 24/7 ATM? Even the AMAC themselves to keep their offices going. So if you're not going to provide power for people, how are you going to tax them? Although, to be fair, this is there's really no way to be fair. They're not power. You're not giving people power, so there's really no way to angle to look at this. But Nigeria had does have, carbon emissions, environmental friendly levies. It's just that you're not providing people with power. So how can you be charging them to use their gens?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what came out from there. She posted it on Instagram and
it's
a whole bunch of comments from there.
I can imagine. Like mentioned, we're not being provided power, and yet we're made to pay for using generator. It doesn't make sense. And that's why Yinka is saying, wait, fee to use generator, is there light? And I'm glad that you bring this up, Rotus, and you actually say that it's part of the law. But unfortunately, a lot of people are not aware of this. I don't think many businesses are charged. Is it just for business owners or anyone who uses a generator?
This is anyone. It says the management of the Abuja Municipal Area Council, Environmental Services Department. So it's a levy fees due to the municipal for gaseous emission permit limits. So this includes the discharge of harmful hazardous substances into the air or land and water in Nigeria by activities of industries, warehouses, banks, another, from drilling, production, construction, manufacturing equipment, fuel stations, etc. So it's everybody. But, are you selectively implementing this? So that's
exactly.
Yeah. But it's in, I have to read this. It's in line with the provision of Section 2C of the 4th Schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, under the function of the Local Government Council Authority and Federal Environmental Protection Agency Act, FEPA. So this is, it's backed by the Constitution.
It is backed by the Constitution. And thanks for highlighting this, Rotus, because, especially when you don't hear it in the news, you're not aware about certain taxes and levies. And if you're not aware of something, you don't have the opportunity to fight it, especially if you do not agree with it or find ways to change it. And of course, since it's a part of the Constitution, the only way this can be addressed in terms of if you want to change it is by going through our representatives. So it has to be changed by law in the House. So that's very important. Yeah. I can't even imagine the impact on businesses here.
Businesses. It's nuts. It's crazy. Very quickly, speaking of testing things in courts, the FIRS, the Federal Inland Revenue Agency, has appealed the decision from the Rivers, or is it Port Harcourt High Court, saying that they can't collect VAT. So that's going forward. We're going to see how that one plays out. Supreme Court.
This was expected. We actually probably said it. We said it during the analysis last week that they're probably going to appeal the judgment. And Lenin says, and Lenin, I want to apologize already. He says this session today is a bit depressing. I genuinely feel sad. Economic backsliding and taxing a citizen for use of generators due to the failure of government by a government agency. I am sad, he said. Joel said, we had an irresponsible neighbor who turned us on his gen set even when there is light, just to save his power unit. The estate had to come together to fight him until he moved out. So are you saying that in some estates or in some cases, powering your generator works out cheaper than paying the tariff for electricity?
I don't see how. It depends on how long you run your gen. I don't see how that works out. Depends. Another person is paying estimated billing. So there's factors to look at there.
Okay, then Yinka says, what are cars emitting? Are they levied? Smokers as well, are they levied? Shisha poppers, are they levied? I'm sure cars, if we have one for generators, I want to assume that cars. How many of us knew that their generators are being levied, if not that we brought this news here? So you're being taxed for things that you might not even be aware of, because if it's a green tax, I know that in other countries, in Europe, for instance, depending on the size of your car, you actually have to pay a green tax on your car. So, this is the emission. So I wouldn't think it would be very different, especially, we go and we sign all these treaties and commitments at the UN. And these are some of the provisions of those treaties. Thank you. Those agreements and commitments. Thank you very much, Rotus. We're out of time. I'm hoping that we can cheer people up in the next few minutes with some great news.
Sorry. I real quick. I don't know if it's very news. It's for Zambia. The opposition guy won. Hakinde Hichilema. He's run for president 5 times and he won. They kicked out Edgar Lungu. So there's a new president in Zambia.
There's a new president in Gambia. Congratulations to Zambians. Hopefully in the next few months and years, we would see positive impact of this change. Thank you, Rotus, and have a good day. Thank you very much for joining me as always. And thanks to all the great people who have sent in comments and watched us on YouTube and engaged with us. We're very grateful. We look forward to doing this together again tomorrow morning, same time at 6:30 a.m., 6:30 to 6:45. Have a beautiful day. All right, next up, we have today's edition of Freshly Pressed at 7:30. But before Freshly Pressed, we have some great music lined up for you here on Smooth 98.1. Do stay tuned. Thank you very much.